This is the detailed co-main event prediction for Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev on UFC 308. I have destroyed my facial hair and just face in general, just making sure that you all know who I'm picking, who I have faith in. Listen, I do have the utmost faith in Robert Whittaker. I am hopeful that he will get it done. I'm not just hopeful, I'm pretty damn confident he's going to get it done. And he's looking there at a plus 200 underdog. And if you're not looking at that for a bet, you are fucking crazy. Now, UFC 308 is going to start this weekend at 10 a.m. Eastern for the early prelims, 2 p.m. Eastern for the main card. It is a great card. We're going to talk about Topuria and Holloway separately, detailed prediction in another video that will be coming out tomorrow. But for today, it's all about Robert the Reaper Whittaker, as Michael Bisping would say. I actually think that was a pretty good impression, just saying. But let's just look at the tail of the tape to start this, okay? We're going to look at the tail of the tape. Not to steal John Anik's line, but Khamzat Chimaev, Robert Whittaker, fighting at middleweight. Now, Robert Whittaker is the first, I say, true middleweight that Khamzat Chimaev has faced, other than like Gerald Meerschaert, which, I mean, come on, we're talking rankings, we're talking like the elite of the elite. The elite of the elite, not to do Joe Rogan, but Robert Whittaker, let's talk about what Khamzat Chimaev has done so far. Let's start with that. So Khamzat Chimaev comes into the UFC as this absolute wrecking ball and goes on this crazy little sprint. So during COVID, he subs John Phillips in the second round, which John Phillips has got to be tough as fucking nails because he's like, I remember seeing everyone else that Khamzat was fighting being like, dude, like, John Phillips is better than Kevin Holland because like John Phillips lasted this round too. But he dominates John Phillips in that first round and then gets a submission in the second round. Again, he's a little green at that point. He's coming and he's coming into his own. Then he gets to Reese McKee, knocks him out in a round. Impressive. And he does that literally 10 days later. Then he goes to fight in September against Gerald Meerschaert. Knocks him out in 17 seconds with a stiff right hand. Now, Gerald Meerschaert is a little bit chinny. I don't quantify him as tough as Robert Whittaker, even though Gerald Meerschaert, he'll dog it out. Pause. But listen, he got knocked out in 17 seconds. Showed us that Chimaev does have power at middleweight. So we know that. Then he goes back down to welterweight, subs the Leech after over a year off. Very impressive victory, but submitted the Leech and got in the rankings. Then he gets his jump up 6 months later to Gilbert Burns. And when he fights Gilbert Burns, he fights pretty well, but he showed us there is chinks in that armor. That's the first time we really saw that there can be a cardio issue with Khamzat Chimaev because he was tiring out as the fight was continuing to go on. And we saw multiple times in this fight that, like, he's there to be hit and he can be hurt. It's like very, very hittable. And Burns has got some power. But listen, like, Burns is still at 170. He used to fight at 155. And I get it, he's got power. And everyone wants to talk about Robert Whittaker not having power, which we'll get to in a second, but Robert Whittaker has more power than Gilbert Burns, guys. I don't know why people are disrespecting Robert Whittaker like that. Then Khamzat Chimaev runs through Kevin Holland in a minute, but we saw in this fight, and this fight is one that I want to talk about a lot. He had his way with Kevin Holland, but there were moments where Kevin Holland was able to kind of fight things. Kevin Holland's also lankier, skinnier, and was fighting at a different weight than he was preparing to fight at, had a changeup of opponent here, and Khamzat shot and got the takedowns immediately. Now, Khamzat can do that. He can shoot, he can get takedowns absolutely immediately, and here's an interview in the corner of Brett Okamoto, who is a fucking casual ESPN Disney Plus bot, doing an interview with Khamzat, but Kevin Holland stuck out a lot of those submissions for a while, and eventually, like, Khamzat found his way to the tightest part of the choke and got it. But Khamzat Chimaev was exhausted because he goes for it so fast, so fast that he is inevitably going to get tired. And we see the same thing here against Kamaru Usman. Now, I think this fight was a draw. Majority decision because they were in Abu Dhabi. And that's one of the things that scares me in this fight is if it goes to decision and Khamzat has 2 good rounds, they'll just fucking give him a 10-8 just so they can say, oh, he had a draw. They will do that because Abu Dhabi, let's be real, man. Like, if their people don't win, they're going to fucking, they're going to fix it for themselves. So, it is what it is, but he goes out there and fights Usman. Now, I don't like the argument that Usman's a 170-pounder, guys. Like, seriously? He's a 170-pounder. What do you think he's going to do? Like, what's going to happen when Khamzat faces a real 185-pounder? Usman is huge for welterweight. Prior to fighting at welterweight, before he got into the UFC, he was fighting at 180, or he was wrestling at 185. That's why he's Usman 84 kg, because he was 84 kilograms, fighting at 185 pounds. And this dude, like, he looked like Usman showed chinks in the armor again. Like, he showed that Khamzat's not the best striker. That jab that Usman was firing out was landing on Khamzat a lot, and when they were trading shots, Usman was getting better at the exchanges. And it's because Khamzat tires out after that first round so bad. But also, Khamzat's striking's not that good. It really isn't. Like, he's got power, and he has a little bit of technique. But if you're telling me that he's going to stand on the feet with Robert Whittaker and have some success, I really don't think that's the case. I think his only success in this fight is if he can get it to the ground. I really, really do. Now, this fight with Kamaru Usman got taken down early and got held down the entire time, got beat up. And then round 2 comes around and like Khamzat just wasn't able to really bully him around like that anymore. He really wasn't. What do you think's going to happen if that's Robert Whittaker? Now, I like Usman's get-ups. I think first of all, his wrestling takedown defense is top of the line. And I think it's better than Robert Whittaker's. But in terms of get-ups, I trust Robert Whittaker's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game more. Like, he has very underrated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I think he's going to be able to utilize that to his advantage here to stay out of submissions and make Khamzat keep working so that way he does tire out. But if I'm Robert Whittaker, obviously you don't want this fight going to the ground, but I'm not accepting a takedown and just playing let me just avoid the submission game. I'm starting this fight, and I'm going out there early, and I am going to walk Khamzat Chimaev down to put him on his back foot, pepper him with that double jab, follow up with a 2, set up your kicks, blast a couple low kicks so those takedowns of Khamzat Chimaev aren't as powerful. Now, I know he just finds a way to get to the back, pick you up, and slam you. Like, Khamzat can take you down literally from anywhere. It's insane, the strength that this guy has. But listen, Robert Whittaker has tremendous takedown defense himself, some of the best at middleweight, if not the best. He also can get takedowns of his own, but I don't think he's even going to bother going into that realm, even though we have no idea what Chimaev's like off his back. Pause again. But, like, when it comes to this striking advantage, dude, Robert Whittaker is going to be able to pepper that double jab, and right when the bell goes, I'm putting Khamzat on the back foot. And another big thing to mention is this is a 5-round fight. If this was a 3-round fight, I would have went with Khamzat Chimaev to win a sketchy decision. Getting a round either 2 or 3 that probably goes to Whittaker in most people's eyes, and then winning the first round pretty dominantly. Probably goes a very similar way as to the Usman fight would have went in terms of the scorecards. But this is a 5-round fight. We haven't seen Khamzat Chimaev close to a 5-round fight. We have seen him go life and death with Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman in 3 rounds. And at the end of those fights, he is gassed out, he is tired, he is panting on the mic, he can't breathe. And there's a lot to look at there. This guy is one of the best 1-round fighters there is. But Robert Whittaker is very used to dangerous, dangerous opponents. And I want to talk about all the people saying that Robert Whittaker has pillow hands. He doesn't knock anyone out. And again, let's talk about his jiu-jitsu game, dude. He trains at Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and he's doing it in Abu Dhabi right now. Like, people have tried to take him down. And, like, when you look at this guy's resume on who he's fought, no wonder he doesn't have a fuck ton of knockouts. Look at who he's fought. He did knock out Jacare. He knocked out Derek Brunson, but then you get here, and it's 2 fights with Yoel Romero. When was the last time you saw someone leave Yoel Romero flat in the octagon, let alone in his physical prime in 2017, 2018? That was the scariest Romero. Then he goes out there and he gets knocked out by Israel Adesanya, and Izzy just kind of is a really difficult matchup for him, given the range, given, what Izzy can do in the octagon. So he loses, he goes back out there, and he fights Darren Till. Listen, I know Masvidal left Darren Till stiff in the octagon, but they had a very sniper-esque fight where they were kind of just trading points, and someone was just going to win a point fight there. And Whittaker ended up winning it, and he stayed composed and won that fight. Darren Till's also not the easiest guy to knock out. Again, it was Jorge Masvidal, I get that. But, like, Dricus didn't knock him out. He submitted him. Jared Cannonier, he had a questionable KO. Like, he was questionably KO'd by Nasruddin Imavov. Very early stoppage that is unanimously talked about. And then he also got smoked by Caio Borralho in that 5th round, but stayed in the fight. Robert Whittaker, when they fought, smoked him in the 3rd round with a 1-2 head kick, and Jared Cannonier found a way to stay in the fight. And that was a younger Jared Cannonier, 4 years younger, so he was 36. Not 40 like he is now, he was 36 when he had fought Robert Whittaker. So his chin was better than it is now. Then he goes to fight Kelvin Gastelum. Can you tell me the last time Kelvin Gastelum was actually knocked out? Because I can't think of it right now. So there's some reasons why he hasn't knocked everyone out. Then he goes to fight Israel Adesanya, gets robbed of a decision. Absolutely robbed. Like, Whittaker won this fight. And you can't convince me otherwise. So, and when you talk about fighting Izzy here, the only guy that's knocked out Izzy, like, knocked him out stiff as Alex Pereira, and he fucking knocks everybody out. But no one else is knocking out Izzy, and Izzy's fought some guys that can hit hard. Like, Dricus has hurt him a couple times, but Dricus submitted him. He didn't knock him out. Then he fights Marvin Vettori, notorious for the crazy chin. Notorious for it. Then he fights Dricus. Gets knocked out by Dricus. Listen, no one in the UFC has beaten Dricus. And I think Robert Whittaker, when you talk about this Dricus fight, another thing to talk about with Robert Whittaker is when he's supposed to go in there and dominate, and he's so much better than this guy, and there's no real danger for him in the eyes of himself or the crowd. And I don't know that he thought that there was no real danger for Dricus. I just thought he was looked at as such a heavy favorite and someone that was supposed to go out there and take care of business against Dricus that naturally it made things... He was toned down a little bit. He wasn't the murderer. He wasn't going in there and saying, like, dude, I'm fighting for my family. I'm fighting to the death. I am fighting to make sure that my career keeps going forward. I think he went in there and he just got surprised by how good Dricus really is, and he got knocked out. But no one else has beat Dricus, let alone knock him out. Then Paulo Costa. Again, Paulo Costa's not a guy that's getting left stiff in the octagon. He's just not getting knocked out, and Whittaker hurt him a ton of times. A ton of times. Whittaker also showed strength in his chin, took a wheel kick that would have knocked out most people, and just ate it. Got a little wobbly, but ate it, made it to the horn, and then went out and beat Paulo Costa's ass for the rest of the fight. Then he goes out there against Ikram Aleskarov, a guy that everyone's saying, dude, he's dangerous, man. He's really dangerous. He can hurt Whittaker. Same thing happened with Paulo Costa. He's dangerous. He can hurt Whittaker. Marvin Vettori, he went life and death with Israel Adesanya. How's he going to hold up against Robert Whittaker? And Robert Whittaker and Marvin Vettori was talking a lot of shit, getting Robert Whittaker all fired up and angry in the lead up. Israel Adesanya, a guy that, again, people are saying Robert Whittaker's like, he's great, but Israel Adesanya's a tough matchup. I get that. Maybe not the Israel Adesanya thing, but like Cannonier, when Robert Whittaker fights his best, it's because his back's against the wall and he's in there and he's genuinely nervous about what's in front of him. And that's when he performs his best because he knows there's real danger here. He knows he has to be perfect. And when Robert Whittaker is motivated, when Robert Whittaker senses danger and knows that he has to be perfect, he is perfect and he gets it done. Robert Whittaker's going to get this one done. He doesn't have the pillow hands that everyone talks about. I get it. He doesn't knock out the most amount of people, but he doesn't have these crazy pillow hands. He's fought guys that are tough and just don't get knocked out. Now he's going to go against Khamzat Chimaev, who notoriously gasses after a round, and he has to go 5 rounds. Now, we're used to seeing this murderer Khamzat, the guy that's, I kill everybody, fuck, I'm the champ, I'm the king, kill everybody. That's not Khamzat on this fight week. It's not. This fight week, Khamzat has been very calm. The demeanor has been calm. He's kind of like opened up a little bit. He talked about the surgery that his son's going to have. Hope his son's going to be okay, obviously. I think it was like a kidney thing. But we're not seeing the killer in Chimaev that really intimidates a lot of people. But I think Robert Whittaker knows how dangerous this fight really is, and I don't think he's going to let that get to him. I think that because he's fighting such a tough opponent in Khamzat Chimaev that's only going to up his game, Robert Whittaker's been training like crazy, and Robert Whittaker asked for this fight. He could have said, I knocked out Ikram, I beat Paulo Costa, I've done more than Strickland, I'm going to wait for my title shot too. But he didn't. Or he could say, I don't want Khamzat Chimaev, he's ranked so low down there. I want the Nasruddin Imavov fight, who's ranked 4, the Caio Borralho fight, who's ranked 5. But he didn't do that. He said, I want Khamzat Chimaev, and I think it's because he knows he can beat Khamzat. He's seen the holes in his game, and he can exploit them. 100%. I also don't think Khamzat's mind is fully in this because of what's going on in his life outside of things. I don't like that he hasn't been active. I don't like that there's a lot of stuff going on. And when I say a lot of stuff, I'm talking about the crypto scam. I'm talking about pulling out of fights. I'm talking about always missing weight. I'm talking about his immune system being terrible. Now, when it comes to his son, that's going to be a distraction. His son's like a year and a half, or 1.5 years old. Like, that's going to be a distraction. We obviously all hope for the best for him, but that's something that, like, as a father, Khamzat Chimaev is going to be thinking about even going up to fight week because he's going to have the surgery directly after the fight. So I don't know if Khamzat Chimaev's brain is all there. And I don't know, maybe he is smart enough to not just throw it all out there in round one and try and get a finish. If he doesn't, I think it makes it easier for Robert Whittaker because I don't think Khamzat Chimaev is going to be able to win a decision without just absolutely putting crazy pressure on Robert Whittaker. I think Khamzat's going to go out there, try and get his takedowns fast. I think Robert Whittaker's going to be able to, he's going to get taken down to start this fight. It is going to happen, but I think Robert Whittaker's good. You're going to see his submission defense is really, really good. Really, really good. And you're going to see that he's going to be able to get back to his feet. He's going to do the right things. He's not going to sit there and lay there and let Khamzat take a round. He's going to put his feet on the hips, push Khamzat back. He's going to not give up his back when he gets up. He's going to find ways to get up without that. He's going to make Khamzat Chimaev tire out on the ground there, and then round two is going to start, and you're going to see, I think Robert Whittaker's going to start with forward pressure, but he is going to get taken down. But as round two comes, you're going to see Robert Whittaker's marching forward, Khamzat shooting, he's stuffing takedowns. Khamzat shooting, he's stuffing takedowns. He maybe gets taken down, pops right back up. Gets pushed up against the fence, gets the underhooks, turns, breaks, elbow off the break. And I also think you're going to see Robert Whittaker double up on that jab, and it's going to bust Khamzat's nose up. We saw Usman fire a straight, not too sneaky jab and bust up Khamzat Chimaev in the face a little bit. Robert Whittaker is going to throw that double jab, and it is going to catch Khamzat Chimaev multiple times. And once Khamzat tries to slip that double jab, Whittaker's smart enough to go 1-2, catch him there. Then Khamzat's going to try and slip the 1-2. Whittaker's going to go 1-2 head kick and catch Khamzat Chimaev. Now, I don't think he's going to necessarily knock him out cold with that, but I think he's going to hurt him. And it's going to make Khamzat Chimaev kind of, shit, dude, I need to shoot because I cannot stand on the feet with this guy. I also think Robert Whittaker is going to do a really good job of beating up the legs of Khamzat Chimaev. He's going to blast a lot of really good low kicks. I think he can mix up kicks to the body. But I don't think those kicks are coming until later in the fight because I don't think Robert Whittaker wants to risk getting his leg caught and then get taken down by Khamzat. So I think those come late. But you're going to see Robert's feint level changes. Jab, jab, feint. Like he did against Ikram. Because he's going to feint, make Ikram, see what Ikram wants to do when he goes low and level changes, see what Khamzat's reaction is, and see where the opening is where he can land a shot on the chin. That's what he did to Ikram. He went jab, jab, and then would dip. Ikram Aleskarov threw the lead left, his lead kick, tried to throw it high. Whittaker saw that, and then went jab, jab. As Ikram was lifting his leg up, fired the two down the middle and hit him right on the chin and wobbled him. Robert Whittaker's tough as nails, guys. The hardest fight that Khamzat Chimaev has faced thus far. And I think Robert Whittaker's going to get it done. I don't know that Khamzat's head is fully in the game, and I think Robert Whittaker is a really difficult matchup for Khamzat. Robert Whittaker is asking for this fight, and I got to believe it's because he knows he can beat Khamzat Chimaev. He has gone there and he has trained. He wants to fight the best, and he's got that real motivation behind him. You see his media day interview, he's saying what he's fighting for, and that's what I want to see. I think these scary fights bring out the best in Robert Whittaker, and if he's asking for this fight, he knows he can get it done, and he's going to go out there and get it done. We're pulling for Robert Whittaker here. I really put it on the line by literally shaving my face to look like Robert Whittaker, so we are absolutely pulling for it. We're Team Whittaker over here. Let's go Bobby Knuckles, I believe.